Hello, YouTubers. Just thought I'd post another video. About three months ago or so, I bought this Arrma Fury BLS. Um, I have other videos on it, and as I said, I'm impressed with it. I said if I had any issues, I'd post videos. The only issue I've had is one of these suspension bolts on the back here. This one over here, particularly, has keeps coming loose on me. There was a little bit of plastic on the threads. It threads into this block here, and then the rest is just a pin. So I threw some Loctite on that, and it doesn't seem to be loosening off anymore. I lost a wheel nut. Obviously my fault. I had the wheels off and didn't tighten it enough. But the Arrmas come with the wheel nuts. They come with are just a plain nut. No nylon in it. Just these little grips on the back that grip the plastic. So what I did was they're the same size as Traxxas. So I bought a package of the Traxxas, which also have the little grips on the back of the nut, but they also have nylon in them to stop it from backing off with vibration, or if it gets a little loose. You're probably going to notice your tire's a little wobbly before it flies off. They're relatively cheap, so I took the old ones off and just upgraded them all with the nylon ones from Traxxas to avoid blowing another tire off while I was ripping full throttle down the street. I took a little bit of plastic off the bottom of one of my suspension arms, and the tire flew off. Another thing I'd like to talk about is just I bought this brand new. You talk to RC guys and they say if you're getting back into it, just go ahead and buy new. That's what I did. My brother played with mine for a bit, and he decided he wanted one. Well, he bought a used Traxxas / 4x4, and I went with him. And just things I was able to notice, like when you're buying used, take a look at the tops of the hex nuts and stuff like that. And if they're all rusted, obviously they've played a lot in the water with it. It's hard to see with my lighting and my bad camera, but mine have a little bit of rust on them just from cleaning it. But the Traxxas he bought had quite a bit of rust all through the tops of all the hexes. And I said to the seller, you've had it in some water, and he said, oh yeah, I've had it in water. Which is fine. You see lots of videos of them going through some water. It's not really recommended. Waterproof is more like maybe driving, splashing through a couple of puddles, but not submerging like some people do. Another thing to look for is like a lot of guys put modifications, better shocks, stuff like that. It doesn't really add a whole lot of value to the RC. Yeah, you've got upgraded shocks, and if they don't have the old ones, it's probably because they didn't want to be bothered maybe rebuilding them. They just upgraded. And then the guy will tell you, "Oh, I've got like $100 in upgrades." Well, you don't know how old the upgrades are. I mean, generally upgrades aren't a whole lot more than stock parts anyway. If you're new to this and you're really looking at used, you want to go used. If you're not sure of the difference between a brushless motor and a non-brushless, your brushless motor will have, as you can see here, there's 3 leads that'll be going to it. This one is red, yellow, and blue leads. Basically 3-pole, as they say. Whereas a brush motor only has 2 poles. So if, you know, they're telling you it's brushless and you're not sure, that's kind of a way to tell. There should be at least three wires going into that motor. If it's two, then it's a brushed motor. The slash my brother bought, he actually, unfortunately, he got it. We looked it over. He took it for a little test drive. I probably should have test drove it because, you know, he got it home. He gave the battery a full charge and took it out. And the thing was very slow. If I drove it, I would have been able to tell him right away. It should be way faster than that. It should be as fast as this Arrma I have, or if not faster, because it was a brushless 110 Traxxas, all Valenian. We couldn't figure out why it was going so slow, so he took the cover off to see where the center diff is, and of course his motor had a lot of slop at the pinion gear, which is obviously bearings. A rebuild kit for those motors is like $12, but unfortunately, taking the motor apart, the one bearing was so badly damaged that the balls had come out of the bearing. It had started to catch the windings on the inside of the motor. And the outer race, we couldn't even get it out of the motor casing to put new bearings in it. But so it was pretty much garbage. So right out of the gate, he had to go buy a new motor. And a brushless motor, you're looking at $100 to replace. So that was another $100 on the cost of the vehicle buying used right at the gate for him. That and the battery does not hold its charge very long. It was probably wore out. So, you know, you're looking at another $50 for a battery probably. You know, it's just one of the disadvantages of buying used. You know, of course, when we went to look at it, it was getting dark outside, and we noticed there's a couple of screws missing, but you know, that's minor. He put the new motor in it, and again, it was still slow. Not half the speed that it should go. So he decided, well, there seems to be some play in the center diff as well. And that's where the slipper clutch is and the slashes. The four-wheel drive slashes anyway. And the kid had that sold it to him had it apart and didn't even put it together right at all. He had one bearing that was supposed to go into the tray or body of the slash that was like up against the slipper clutch, not even doing anything, and it had been there long enough that the bearing was seized. So he had to go and then get a bearing set, replace that seized bearing in the slipper clutch. Like the slipper clutch wasn't even functioning. So you know, it's like when you go, if you are wanting to buy used, you really gotta kind of devalue it if it looks like it hasn't been taken care of. There's a lot of guys out there that, you know, sell stuff, and it's like if they still have the box and all of the little parts and accessories that come with it, the tools, and you know, it's clean looking, that's definitely a plus side. Yeah, if you show up and it's like, yeah, here's the battery, here's a remote and charger, I don't have the tools, they're gone. You know, it's showing some rust on those hex nuts, and, you know, it maybe really devalue it because, you know, for what he paid for this used slash, and then right away, $100 motor, and then, you know, probably going to want to get a new battery within a little bit. Add all that on, replacing the bearings, and he almost could have bought a brand new one. And, you know, it'd be his first RC, as far as entry level for the hobbyists goes, and he would have had trouble free for quite a while. So yeah, you know, like I've been looking at some used ones myself just to, you know, save a little bit of money, maybe get a little bit of a collection going. just after that experience, definitely have to watch out for some other things. And, like one of the things with the Slash that my brother bought that we never even would have thought of at the time was just roll it back and forth and see how easy it rolls. With the motor connected, there's going to be some resistance there, but it should still roll relatively easy. That was kind of how we figured there may be something going on as far as a diff on his Slash, because when he put the new motor in, I noticed when he would let go of the throttle trigger, it would almost like it was slamming on the brakes. And then I put it on the ground and I rolled it like this, and it was like the tires were locking up. And I'm like, all right, we definitely got another issue with this thing. And then, you know what, if the body's a little banged up, I mean, these things are made to take some abuse. This one's like 3 months old, and there's not a lot of, it's a little bit of wear here. You'll see it's wore through where it's touching around the pins a little bit. But I mean, they're made to take a roll, take abuse. So if the body's a little banged up, doesn't really matter. It's more what's underneath, I haven't given this a good cleaning since the last time I had it out, but to look at this, it's like, okay, it's relatively clean. There's a few scrapes on the bottom on the belly pan, but that's again, perfectly normal. Nothing's broken, It's one of those, if you look at that and it's like, all right, well, maybe this one's been taken care of. Like I said, if they have the box and they still have the toolkit and everything, and maybe somebody who's a little more organized, maybe somebody knows what they're doing. Like I said, the slipper clutch on that Slash, the kid had just obviously not paid attention when he took it apart, how it went back together, and had that bigger bearing in a spot that it wasn't even doing anything. So yeah, just if you're wanting to get into something like this, you're definitely better off to maybe just save your money a little longer and go brand new. And then once you're going to really enjoy it. Me, myself, like I said, I've had this thing 3 months and I'm already wanting to get some other stuff. Another one, been kind of looking at the want ads, but a lot of the stuff you see on these, people still want top dollar for it. And, it's kind of like, is it worth that? I've seen a couple of Slash 4x4s, just a roller. And it's like, yep, all it needs is the motor and away you go. And they still want $200. And it's kind of like, oh, they'll say I put some upgrades on it, some suspension parts. But again, upgraded parts aren't a whole lot more than stock parts. So how much money have you really invested in an RC by, doing some upgrades in suspension and stuff? If it was a situation where everything on it was aluminum and they'd, upgraded a motor and it came with everything basically ready to run used, yeah, there might be some more value to it, but it's unbelievable the amount of guys selling non-working units. They need a battery, they need a motor, they need an ESC, they need a receiver box, and the money they want for them is just kind of like, wow, for another $50 to $100 I could buy brand new. So maybe that's the way to go. Hopefully I helped you out on some tips if you are looking at used. Like I said, just kind of what's broken, what does it look like it's been through water a lot, and does it roll relatively easy. I'm not putting much force into pushing that, and especially with the front, are your bearings good, and the wheels, give that a spin and it just keeps going and going. That's a good bearing. Obviously it's not wore, it's not grinding, stuff like that. Like I said, if it's clean looking, and they have the box still, they got all the parts, that come with it, the spacers and that. It's someone who's took care of it, as opposed to showing up and being like, yeah, there's no battery, the body's not with it, probably because it's been smashed to crap. Just stuff like that. As far as shocks go, I mean, if shocks are wore out, these ones are rebuildable. You can just put new oil in them. That's minor, you know. As far as use goes, there's no way that I know of anyway to date or know how old it is. Like, there is a serial number on these. I don't know if there's a way to find a date code in there. A lot of them, the stickers probably come off anyway. That's the only problem with RC, I guess, is, you say, how old is it? Oh, it's a year old. And then, you find out it's probably more like 3. Unless they've done, the company has done some changes to their chassis over certain years. You can't really tell how old they are. They could have replaced the tires, but anyway, I hope this video was somewhat helpful. Down the road, if I pick up a used or even a new one, who knows? I'll post some more videos. As far as the Arrma goes, like I said, I'm still impressed with the truck. Getting a lot of enjoyment out of it, having a lot of fun with it. Now that my brother's picked up one and we've got it working, it's the more people, the more fun it is. Maybe we'll look at building a track somewhere or something. So, everybody, hope you enjoyed this video and find it somewhat helpful. Thank you.